Chapter 12 Plato's Cave. Could it be reality is not mine, the bend of space, the arc of time, that's brought you to my kindly ear, to whisper secrets of distant shores, the likes of which have never been seen by lesser souls, imperfect memes, that cannot see the torchlit caverns that protect the space folds and the sheets of heaven? Ulysses, my friend, is really quite conflicted. I have observed his behaviour regarding his situation, his life situation, that is. Sometimes it is as though he's pretending to talk to me, but he's actually verbalising out loud in order to understand certain concepts within his own mind that he finds, interesting, exciting. He's currently over the other side of the lab, hand swiping the airborne lit-up pixel displays. His task at hand must be pretty standard routine stuff he's done a million times, and that has become second nature, for he's talking and thinking, talking some more, pondering and speaking his musings in a sort of machine-like way, whilst he's working. There is structure to his mental computations, but to the untrained listener his vocal transmissions might appear to be enslaved by a happy kind of madness. He continues his discourse as though I'm not even there, asking his questions out loud, and then answering them himself without even pausing. Do you know what's really fascinating, Nine? Something that very few people stop to really think about. If you could jump between 2 points in space, let's say, straight through the middle of this lab, one corner to the other. If your bridge between these 2 points cuts out all the space in between so that your passage is instantaneous, the energetic principle that is your makeup will take on the energy of the space that you've just skipped across. And you might ask the question, and rightly so, but it's empty space. What is there to gain? You very well might ask that question, and I will tell you, my young student who I have aspirations of becoming the master of himself and everything that is. It turns out this empty space stuff has always been far from empty. It should be called full space, not empty space. It's never been empty. Bottom line, plain and simple, plain space, far from having nothing in it, in actual fact, has everything in it. There used to be places in the archaic world called cinemas, and in these large buildings people would gather and watch films on a massive screen. A jolly nice way to pass your time, I would imagine. A time of coming together and sharing one shining moment and one shining experience. Can you imagine? All those people in one place sharing the same space and the same experience, strangers all drawn together, all in one place. Can you imagine? Don't know why they got rid of that. Can't think. Could it be that any hub of society, any place that actually brought people together through synchronicity, was seen by the state as threatening? I'll let you decide. Anyway, I stray from point. In these large buildings there would have been an auditorium where all the people sat. Here's the church, here's the steeple, open the doors, and here's the people. And there would have been a projection room in the back, from where the film was being shone. In an earlier time, long before deep fake, these films were quite literally on reels and spun round at speed so that the fed cellulose material holding the frames could be passed in front of a bright light source and the magic of a 3D reality could be witnessed from a 2D projection. The story and the film would play out and everyone would have a damn enjoyable experience, or so I've been told. My grandfather went to such a show when he was a little boy, in the late 2020s I believe, 27, 28. He told me the name of the film, the title. They'd all have names, you see. Oh, what was it? Not important. The Secretary Fantastic, Injunction, Conjunction, yeah, something like that. Ulysses stops and gazes inwards for a while, and I can just see him as a little boy, and he's listening most intently to his grandfather's tales of the past. He continues. Why am I telling you this, I hear you ask? Well, us humans experience our physical reality, which is basically the electromagnetic universe, as a series of frames, and these frames are similar to early films. The frames run very fast one after the other. We're talking atomic vibration fast here, and yet frames remain, and this is all we actually interact with. If we are trapped within our 5 senses, and we are experiencing this sliver of reality that's presented to us by a 3D world. But this is not all there is, far from it. Just as the 2D projection is not the sum of its expansive 3D counterpart and the world that it's representing, so the electromagnetic universe, the 3D universe around us, is a tiny, tiny slice of the universe in its entirety. The electromagnetic spectrum goes to make up only 4% of the actual universe, or reality, that we know is out there and in there. This means that as scientists, we are only ever in touch with a fraction of what exists around us and throughout the cosmos. Crazy stuff when you stop and think about it, hey? How can we make calculations about anything if we cannot properly see the subject, and yet we are happy to blunder about in the dark and then weaponize our blunderings? Power. That's what it's all about. The race for more and more power causes the state to take greater and greater risks. It will come back to bite 'em, you know. Bite 'em on the butt. It has to. Think in terms of the ancient cinema, the hyper-reality, or that which goes to make up the film stock and the device decoding the images, slices of reality. And not to mention the room around the device and the other rooms or realities beyond can, and do, dictate the nature of the reality that's being projected. And this hyperverse is in what we perceive as the empty space, the space in this here lab and the space between this here lab and the stars. Reaching a point of infinity does not occur through travelling across space. It occurs when we jump across points in space instantaneously. Do you see? The skip, the skippity skip. Do you see it? There's been silent talk about it throughout the scientific scrawlings. The more way with the hand, the harder to decipher. They're calling it, and I really don't know why I'm telling you this part, because it's all very hush-hush, but I'm supposed to talk freely to you, so, not sure they mean talk about this, though. Anyway, yes, awareness wars. That's what it all comes down to. If you can simultaneously jump between two distant points, then you can harness and own the space and the energy that exists between those 2 points. You need someone to physically set up the gate, though, some poor bugger to actually transport the doorway to some chosen and distant destination. I know there's been a lot of progress with heavy rip drives and exaggerated interdimensional tearing, and this speeds the whole process up, but the physical business of propulsion that takes a ship across space will still take time. Time is needed to bridge the gulf, the kind of time that's weighty, like too much hay on your fork. Besides, so far, these experimental drives, like the old ones, imperfect and unpredictable, have caused nothing but irreversible madness in the human subject and fried the digi-consciousness of a standard-issue AI simulation. And as for drone ships, well, basically, as always, they're just too darn dumb. Maybe the technology we're working on in relation to your ship will lead us into a new era of rip drive tearing. Something yet to come, something down the road, maybe. But yeah, it will take a different approach here, a different kind of science, a strange and weird science, to manually traverse these distances quicker and take us beyond the closest galaxies and on to yet even further points of swirling light. The creation, the building of an intergalactic gated network is quite a thing, and that's ultimately what we're really talking about here, the creation of a cosmic mind that can be freely entered, well, as long as you have the right key. Sometimes I sit up in bed and ponder the possibilities, the infinities, the endless wonders. A colossal hyperbrain just hanging there in deep space, the likes of which you cannot imagine, suspended within the void like an object of beautiful dominance. But not yet. We're not there yet. It will take an inspirational jump into the darkness from the platform of our known science and onto a platform that's far higher, the platform of the unknown. Eloquently put, Ulysses. Thank you. Yes, thank you, even if I do say so myself. As Ulysses speaks his summary words, he simultaneously pushes his feet on the shiny floor, causing the chair he's sitting on to skate several meters while spinning him around slowly with his hands clasped together, indicating his sentiment of ownership. My mind settles not so much on his words, but once again comes to rest on my mentor's internal friction. I see it. I sense it. There is real excitement, and also there is wariness, an elation brought on by what's possible, but also a feeling within him of respect and fear. These energy signatures clearly radiate out from his disposition as though caught within a field that is possible for me to tap into. I could almost see them, these signatures, in the air around him, around his spirited form. And there's something more here too, something intentionally hidden, like verbally control-Zing, and attempting to cover your tracks with hypothetical sand and too many words. An earlier impromptu blush response alerted me, as though Ulysses had rambled himself into some very serious and forbidden verbal territory and realized too late. Backscanning. Yes, there it is, a definite slight blush on speaking the words, "some poor bugger." What was being said, though? Some poor bugger what? I'm beginning to think that localized memory wipes, small ones, are being generated from inside my baseline program, and these micro wipes are causing me to disregard certain inputs and concepts. I'm almost certain that Ulysses isn't even aware of this, as he appears completely and blissfully oblivious to these subtleties, and my failing cupped retention of conscious flow. No, it's more fundamental than that, than a programmer's clunky intervention. It's more like some kind of soft wipe incorporated into my baseline mecha. However these wipes are manifesting, deliberate programming or malfunction, they are, nonetheless, preventing me from making certain connections, preventing me from joining the dots that create certain mental pictures. What dots? What pictures? What was I backscanning? What was I? Ulysses continues speaking, and I feel as though only just a few moments ago I fancied asking an important question, and yet I can no longer recall the nature of my would-be important inquiry. Stargate technology is really the race for awareness. I like that, the race for awareness. Yes, that's good. Let's pretend we're not getting ahead of ourselves here, just for a moment, and that all of this is within our current reality. A species that can jump between, say, just 2 galaxies can also instantaneously slide onto another level of awareness, and this is all in the interest of ultimate control. We are not necessarily talking about a higher awareness here, but more awareness, I guess. Could be classed as a higher awareness, if you catch my drift. It certainly gives the advantage. Catch? Drift? Figures of speech, Melado, meaning catch my meaning? This is so wonderful, having these moments, talking freely. We've really hit it off, haven't we? It's nice to be able to talk. It's something you miss when you don't have it in your daily routine. My chatty companion becomes pensive as he seamlessly switches focus from the abstract and the distant to the mundane and the personal, then, yet, again, withdraws within himself. I have no family, you know, or means of making one even. I'm not eligible for the license, I applied. Everyone does, but apparently it's not for Ulysses, not set aside for the likes of Ulysses, lonely Ulysses, Ulysses the island. I can't help but feel a deep connection for this guy. There's a sense of us both suffering the same kind of suffering. We're both trapped. Different sides of a coin, but the same coin, and through no fault of our own. Not ours, not our doing, out of our hands, and yet by the same hands we have been thrown together, and there is solace in our united connection. Love? Could love be too strong a word? No, I don't think so. Yes, love. The kind of love between siblings or parent and child. The kind of connection that makes you larger and helps you to understand a wider state of affairs. Something that grants confidence and a sense of unconquerable cycles. Doesn't unconquerable souls surface from the connections to those around us and the support? Good people, good connections, good vibrations? I feel myself advancing through time as I ponder these things, and I'm slipping back into my present existence. The experience, the living memory of the lab, is warm and comforting, and there is a stark contrast here to my general surroundings and the vast emptiness of interstellar space. Even though there are obvious deceptive technologies being implemented in that past place, and I cannot escape these darker undercurrents, my friend, at least, has good intentions, at least where I'm concerned. His heart is in the right place, and this proves to be the case, even though the place where these events are unfolding is something of a prison. a prison for us both, a prison but in different ways. I come back to my rebellion, my one act of defiance that has changed everything regarding my perception in relation to what I know, or rather, what I thought I knew, and I have absolutely no feelings of regret. In fact, I feel the opposite of this. I feel alive. I feel alive.
Bells chime goodbye, I'm fading like the flowers of July. I'm fading. I get high, lose my mind, try to feel this hole inside. I get high, try to hide this. I can't pretend there are clouds in the sky, unfolding.
Nothing of beauty comes easily.
Fire in my eyes, unfolding.
Self-diagnostic, ego entropy levels fluctuating.
I get high, lose my mind, try to feel this hole inside. I get high, try to hide this. I can't I get high, lose my mind, try to feel this hole inside. I get high, try to hide this. I can't pretend
Personality implants biocurving, confidence and mind clarity clashing. Defrag recommended, highly recommended. Can you defrag a personality, a digital soul, or a regular soul for that matter? Or, as you might expect, would you lose something of the subject's essence? No, I'm asking, in all seriousness. I actually don't know.